the fact that they make that tournament the whole show, it shows how big of a deal they treat that. And to be able to be put in that position where I'm one of 8 people that they've chosen, I was very grateful because like they could have chosen anybody to do that.
Well, welcome back to the Grapple Theory podcast. Thank you so much for joining us once again. And this week we are joined by one of the fastest rising stars in British wrestling today. He's had a phenomenal start to 2024. He's just won the NCL Cup in North Wrestling. You may already know who I'm talking about. It's Myles Kayman. Myles, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for coming on. How you doing?
Thanks for having me, man. I'm good. I appreciate the invite. Now I'm excited to get talking on this podcast.
No, good. I'm glad. It's an honour to have you here. And really, like I said sort of before we started recording, I think you've had too good a year to really ignore, and it's great to have you on it now at this point after you've already accomplished so much in 2024. I got to ask, like, in terms of the last sort of like year in your progression, do you really feel this has been like the breakthrough year for you in terms of where people have sort of sat up and taken notice and been like, who the fuck is this guy?
I'd say so, because obviously there's been quite a few cool opportunities I've had so far that I necessarily haven't had in the past. But I think it's just a combination of everything happening at the correct time, and hopefully it keeps going. But I mean, we started off pretty hot this year, so fingers crossed keep going.
I was going to say, I'm sure it will. Do you feel it in that moment where like you're getting a bit of momentum and things are starting happening? Like, do you feel that as like something's happening here, like something's going on, I'm making the right steps?
Kind of, yeah. It definitely stems from, especially like in the back, my peers noticing more, and the words that they're saying is kind of coming to light, because there's been for a while there's been a lot of the boys and my peers saying these things but necessarily not happening out in front of the fans, and now it's kind of coming together. Like the fans are starting to notice, and even more of the boys are starting to notice. It's kind of like a nice time right now where everything's aligning nicely.
Yeah, for sure. Because I imagine that's sort of like almost like a double-edged sword, isn't it? In terms of, like you say, like the guys in the back being like, "Oh, mate, you're doing great. Like, keep."
Yeah.
And like when you don't see those results in terms of like bookings or like progression, then it can be hard to like believe it. But when you've got the facts there to back it up and people start to see it, and you've got promoters,
it can get very frustrating in that sense. I know probably a lot of people in every type of industry feel that as well. But I think I've got a very positive mindset in the sense of when it happens, if it happens in a year, if an opportunity happens in 2 years, that's another 2 years of development that I have to get to smash that opportunity, rather than it happening 2 years too early. So I think that's the mindset I have on that. It does get frustrating at times, like, don't get me wrong. A lot of people share the same frustrations, but it's just keeping that level head and be like, okay, if it doesn't happen in 6 months, that's fine, because I've got enough 6 months to get better at this or get bigger, or so I think it all comes at the right time.
Yeah. Like you say, almost like knowing that when the time comes, you're as good as you possibly can be in that moment.
Yeah, because 100%. Because there's been like instances where a cool opportunity could have happened 2 years ago, but I look at myself 2 years ago and I was 2 years younger, 2 years less of the gym, 2 years less of just getting better at wrestling. It's like I wouldn't have been ready for such opportunity if that happened 2 years ago, and I wouldn't be able to make the most of it.
So does anything like change for you in like your mindset, in the way you like approach the way you're dealing with your career at the minute, in terms of like when these things start to happen? Do you see a change in like yourself?
In terms of in a comparison over the years, yes. For example, like comparing myself to last year, it's like, oh my God, like I'm such a different person. I'm a lot bigger, for example. So I think it's kind of like a culmination of that, but also, okay, mentally I'm more ready. So when I get the opportunity, like for example, the recent stuff with the NCL Cup or Progress or stuff like that, it's been like, okay, I've been waiting for this chance. I'm more ready for this. So that kind of just gives me a bit of confidence going into it, really.
Yeah. And you mentioned the NCL Cup there. We got to talk about that first, because obviously that's a huge thing, a huge moment for you.
Absolutely.
I was lucky enough to be there, which is great, because I live in London.
Oh, really?
And I was like, I love the NCL Cup. I loved it when they ran it last year, and I was like, shit, I wish I was there. So I made the effort to be there this year. And it was great. It was fantastic. It was brilliant to you win. I'm just going to put it out there. Just going to shout out the guys at the Tea and Tights podcast as well, because I had a little bet with them. Because I said that you were going to win, and they said that Henry Faust was going to win. and I'm glad that you did me proud. I'm glad that you helped me win my bet.
How much did you win?
No, we had a bet that the other's gonna admit they were wrong on their podcast.
I was gonna ask for a slice of that. My winning's very fair.
No. It's purely street cred that you get as the victory. But
that's good.
No, I appreciate you doing me a solid there. Like everyone, it was brilliant because everyone at the Anarchy Brew was booing, and I was in my head. I was booing out loud, but in my head I was like, yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what the desired reaction I want in that moment. I got cheered, I'm doing it wrong.
And I was going to say, you're very good at it. You're good at getting the boos. I was like, I want to ask, before we get into the actual NCL Cup itself, in terms of your character, in terms of your progression in wrestling, when was that moment where sort of it hit that you were just a really good, smarky heel?
Well, I think so. I've gone kind of from two types of heels over since I started wrestling. When I was much younger, I started 16. I was much more the loudmouth, because that's just such an easy way to get a reaction. It's kind of comforting feeling like, okay, I've said something and they've reciprocated. Okay, cool. So I've gone from being a loudmouth, just a bit of a gobshite, to trying to get those reactions just from my body language, rather than I'm going to say stuff at you and you're going to either give me some kind of reaction back. So I think that moment where I started doing things differently, in the sense of a slower walk out, having this entrance jacket, just having the look on my face without having to say anything, I was like, oh, people are again, my peers are saying it's working, they appreciate that. It's like, oh, this is the direction I should probably continue to go down. And I feel very fortunate that I'm able to do that from just my movements and my body language, because that is obviously quite difficult to do.
Yeah, for sure. Do you learn from anyone in that, in terms of, do you watch anything, not even just wrestling, but in terms of movies or TV, do you watch anything where you're like, how can I learn how to do this?
I think it definitely stems from watching. So I'm a huge fan of entrances in wrestling, and I watch people that are on the top right now or in the past, and I've been like, why do they do that entrance the way they do? And it just creates this, I feel something when I watch it, because when they're at the top, they're not loud mouths, they're not picking one individual fan, because they've got a whole arena to adhere to. So it's kind of just watching the guys at the top and be like, okay, they're doing this a certain way, they're posing for the camera this way. So I don't think I really look for any external influences outside of wrestling. It's more within wrestling I look for. And I can definitely broaden my horizons on that, in the sense of I should probably start picking other stuff from other films, movies, entertainment outlets like that. But it's such an easy access in wrestling to be like, okay, that person's reacting that way, they're moving this way, okay, how can I then do that?
Yeah, sure. And in terms of the NCL Cup itself, then, getting into it, let's start at the beginning. Because you've had you've had a year at North now, really, haven't you? So
I had a quick run before COVID at North, and then that obviously with time passing on, so that wasn't really a factor in anything at all. But yeah, it's been about a year since I've been back at North.
I was going to say, is that almost a disappointment in a way, where say you had that little run before COVID, and then COVID ends and North come back, but they don't call you back straight away? Is there a have I missed my opportunity there sort of thing, in your mind?
No, it's a tough one. I think because in lockdown I wasn't necessarily going to come back to wrestling, and those opportunities I missed through that in its own right. Yes and no. I think again the timing wasn't right. I was only just getting back into it. I was still trying to find myself. And the cards usually stacked at North. North is a very difficult show to get on, because they pride themselves on making sure everything's top quality. So whether I was ready, because I was still that previous bad guy where I would just be a loudmouth as much as I can, and necessarily that role wasn't available at the time, or they didn't want a role like that. So I very much feel like it was again the right time to come back last year. And when they said they wanted to use it, I was like, great.
Sure.
Let's see what we can do with this now.
Nice. I was going to say, if you don't mind me asking, is there a reason why, during lockdown, you were considering not coming back to wrestling?
Not in particular. It was just I kind of saw no hope with And I'm guessing that everyone felt the same, and not just in wrestling, just in life in general, because you don't know what was going to happen. It's like, is wrestling going to come back? And then obviously all the speaking out stuff happened, and it's like, is there going to be a British indie scene after this? Because at the end of the day, a lot of people that run shows are just normal people with bills and families and actual stuff going on outside of a wrestling show. It's like, do they have time to run wrestling shows? And then because again, there was no end goal in sight at that time, I was like, I'm just going to find other stuff that I enjoy, which I did. And I wasn't really too fussed on wrestling at the time. But then, despite just, I don't know when or how it happened, but it just came back.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like you say, like lockdown and speaking out, and everything was like real low for British wrestling. Everything was like horrible. And then like you get back and like, you know, shows start running again, and like you see these changes being made, and hopefully now I think for the better, changes have been made and shows are running better than they were before. And you're like, okay, like it would have been real shit if this had gone away.
Yeah, definitely. And most of my closest friends that I've met are through wrestling. So it'd be a shame to lose that aspect. Not necessarily lose the friends through that, but lose that connection that formed that bond.
Yeah. No, for sure. And like in terms of the NCL Cup then as well, going back to that. Like, so what was the obviously again like we mentioned, because we went on a bit of a tangent there, but I was going to say initially, like you've had like a year back at North now.
Yeah.
But when was like the moment that Andy spoke to you and were like, you're going to be in the NCL Cup this year? And like, when was the moment he was like, you're going to be winning the NCL Cup this year?
So obviously at my return, I was using a role that fitted the purpose at the time. And me personally, I aspired to be more than the role. So obviously I did the best I could with that. And again, I was very grateful for being provided that. So I was kind of looking forward to potentially doing bigger things at North, and then the NCL Cup came up, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, this is the opportunity that I need to show myself, because I've tried my best to show what I can, and I just needed that one moment to be like, okay, this is everything I can do. And to be able to get that opportunity was great. I was very appreciative for being put into that tournament, because it's the fact that they make that tournament the whole show. It shows how big of a deal they treat that, and to be able to be put in that position where I'm one of 8 people that they've chosen, I was very grateful, because like they could have chosen anybody to do that. But being able to win it was again a great feeling for me, because if you just look at what happened with Rio last year. She won it and then went on to good things at North, and it's like, oh, I've been put in this position, there must be a reason why, and I then owe it to them to make most of it, really, to show, okay, you guys trust me with this, let's see where we can go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost, we've said it a lot with wrestlers as well in the past, but it's almost like it's a different kind of pressure now, isn't it? Because you've got to prove that Andy was right to give you the shot. Yeah. But
I think pressure for certain people is a good thing. If you don't feel the pressure, then I don't think you really want it. So if I was quite nervous going out because 3 matches in one night is tough. The adrenaline spike going up, coming down, up, down, up, down. It's like doing that 3 times in one night is quite grueling. So I felt quite a bit of pressure to deliver. But I think if you don't feel pressure, you don't really care.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel a bit of the nerves, you don't really care. Because if you're quite lethargic about it, then you're just going to get on with it. But yeah, dealing with that pressure was a bit of a learning curve as well. It's like, oh yeah, I can really do this. This is cool. But yeah, being put in that position where I have to deliver now, it's exciting as well, because it's like, okay, how far can I go to prove myself? Because then it's going to push me to be a better performer as well. It's like, Andy wants this, okay, let's go. Let's perform for him because he gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like you mentioned, like in great company in terms of like previous NCL Cup winners with Rio. Like that's the thing, isn't it? Rio set that standard in that, like in the last 12 months with all like what goes on after the NCL Cup. Had that incredible match with Leon Slater, and now tag champ as well with Emerson Jane, like putting on incredible matches. That's a lot to live up to.
Yeah, she's delivered really well in that sense. It's that moment of like, okay, now it's my turn to repay that favour and deliver in my own way.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I don't want to upset as the golden boy. I don't want to upset you, but there will be some people who say that it was a bit of a hollow victory because, conveniently Aigle Blanc was injured going into the match.
Yes.
What would you say to those people? I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm just saying, what would you say to those people that think that?
I mean, that's just life, to be honest. Sometimes stuff happens, and it can go against you, it can go for you. It just happened to go for me this time. And I took full advantage of it. I don't think anybody in my position would not do that, to be honest. And it is what it is.
It's smart, isn't it? It's just smart strategy. It's just smart strategy.
And I may or may not have anything to do with it. We don't know.
No. There's no evidence.
You never know. You never know in these things.
Could have been anyone. It was Rikishi, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You got him out. You got Kemper out there. That would be weird, wouldn't it? That would be a weird turn from Andy Bowers.
Hey, it'd get a good reaction.
I'll tell you what would be huge, wouldn't it? So I'll tell you what. The man you beat as well in the semi-finals, Trent Seven, he got a huge reaction as well. I wrote it. Again, this was weird as well, because I wrote this in my review as well. But as someone who lives in London and sees Trent a lot, especially as a heel, where he's booed and if I'm honest, I love Trent, I think he's great, but he's maybe sometimes a little overused in that role, so he gets very similar reactions wherever you see him in London. To go up north and to hear the mega pop that he got when he came out, I was like, what? I was like, Trent doesn't get this kind of reaction, what's happening? Yeah,
it was really cool to wrestle Trent, because he was someone, especially when he was doing the NXT stuff, when I was 17, 18, watching him, was to be able to wrestle that's quite a cool thing for me, because obviously he's one of the top guys.
Yeah, you got to have another match and actually pin him this time, though.
Yeah, and win's a win. Yeah. But I'll hey, if North are listening and they want to do another match, I'm happy to do another match against Trent. I'm down for that. But no, it was a good learning experience wrestling him. Again, he's one of the top guys, so
yeah.
Being put in that position to be trusted to wrestle him as well is it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, it gives you that again, like you say, in terms of the way you want it as well. It gives you more of those boos going into the final, because it's again, it's such a smarky way to win the match, right?
Just that storytelling
on a short count out and just get in instead.
Yeah, it's that storytelling aspect that I love so much. I think we told a quite cool story in that sense. I just beat him, and it leaves the possibilities for other stuff to happen.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, isn't it? Now, in terms of this future you've got ahead of you at North specifically, having won the NCL Cup, like we mentioned, Rio won it and then had a banger of a match with Leon Slater. I imagine he's in your sights now.
Oh, 100%. I'm gonna make sure I challenge for that belt and make sure I win it.
Yeah.
Again, he's got to repay Bowers for the opportunity, and I'm going to make sure I win that belt. So.
I was going to say the North crowd are not going to like that, are they?
God, no. And I'm going to love every second of it.
I was going to say you're going to be stood there holding it above Leon's head. He's there on the floor,
100%.
and you're
100%.
No question though. That's the thing, isn't it? I like about Myles Kayman is there's no question. You're going to win it. There's just no doubt. Like with the NCL Cup as well. I remember you came out zero doubt that you were going to win it.
Yeah. And it's just a case of how I win it is the exciting thing.
Yeah. So where does that confidence of being the golden boy come from then? Where do you draw that from?
I really don't know, because I'm not like that in real life, in the sense I must have an aspect of me that I don't show, because I think obviously the best characters are the ones you're most comfortable with are an extension of yourself. So I don't know what that says about me. I don't show it, but deep down I must have that aspect of me that I can just times 10 and just portray in wrestling. It just feels very comfortable for me to do that role.
I was going to say, maybe not necessarily even if you don't show it externally, do you feel maybe even since you started wrestling, that confidence in yourself has grown, that you have that confidence that you can go out and do anything that you set your mind to?
Yeah, and it's definitely got easier over time, because I remember the feeling I'd go before a match when I was younger is complete nerves, feeling sick, getting a bit of performance anxiety. So now there might be certain nerves in certain scenarios, but it's okay, we're wrestling now. As soon as I go for the curtain, I'm okay, cool. Because I've done it quite a lot to the extent of it feels natural to do that.
Yeah.
I think the confidence has definitely just grown over time, and as I got older, that definitely helps as well.
Nice, I love that. We got a little feature here on the podcast called "What's in a Name," and it's essentially what makes Myles Kayman. Yeah. So the way I always phrase it is, say you're trying to find a replacement for yourself for a show, and you're holding auditions, and people are coming in trying to prove to you they've got what it takes to be Myles Kayman.
Yeah.
What does that person need to have? What does it take to be the golden boy of British wrestling?
I think in terms of maybe not necessarily the golden boy as a character itself, but more of me as a performer, it being able to willing to do anything. So if the Kayman was willing to do anything and take the opportunity, make the most of said opportunity, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'll do whatever it takes to get seen in that moment, because I've had a lot of occasions in wrestling where I've had one little moment to get, and I've had to make the most of that moment, or I've been put in this match or that match, but I have to make the most of that match where there's potentially 5 other guys in there. So I think definitely someone with that opportunist aspect to them, that they'll just be willing to do anything and make the most of that opportunity.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. And that also goes back to, again, somewhere like North, where, like, again, you've had that opportunity, and sort of like, again, you've shown Andy you got what it takes, and he's put that faith back in you. That must be a nice, like, and again, other places as well, we'll get into, I want to talk about BWR in a sec as well, but, like, it must be nice to know from those promoters that, like, you're doing that right, and what you're doing is working, and them to put that validation into you, being like, yes, we want you back, yes, we want you with the belt, yes, we want you to win the cup. Yeah,
because I've always just done whatever they've wanted. Like, if they tell me to do something, okay, we're doing that. I feel very confident in the sense of, if they tell me to do something, I'm able to deliver to the best that I can. And for that to be repaid in that sense is a nice feeling, because I've been given opportunities and I've just taken them as much as I can.
Yeah, and it's working. It's clearly paying off. Which is great to see. I mean, in terms of BWR, I wanted to chat to them. Obviously, again, more gold for you, cruiserweight champ.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that moment. Like, first of all, winning the belt. Like, how does that feel in that moment? Because I know BWR is somewhere that means a lot to you. You've had a lot, good history with. Like, what does it mean in that moment for you to win that belt?
It was a cool moment, because it's one of those moments where they've given me opportunities in the past, maybe not necessarily in an upper card main event aspect. And it's one of those where I've just done my job, I've made the most of the opportunity. It's kind of a reward in that sense. It was a very rewarding feeling that, okay, I've been through this, I've been through that, I've done this as good as I can, and here I am now. It's a nice feeling to be able to be put in that position, especially against someone like Leon, who's a great talent as well. To be put in the ring with him and to deliver is a very rewarding feeling.
Yeah, especially because, like, Leon's doing so well at the minute.
Yeah.
Like, it's a match that, I was going to say it was a great match, but, like, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, you have that pressure of going up against someone who's, like, so, like, on such a high.
Yeah.
That, like, you gotta match that. You gotta match that energy and deliver.
Yeah. 100%. But, I mean, just saying I've beaten Leon once,
goes back, doesn't it?
Every time I've wrestled Leon in the singles, I've beaten him, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? He's going to be terrified. He's not going to want to face you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Leon, if you're watching this, you got to get your revenge. Like, I mean, you need the revenge, really, because if Kayman wins again, like, this is, a guy that's signed by TNA, right? So if you've beaten him twice, what does that say about you?
What does that mean?
When are you going to get signed?
You can't put a prediction on that.
I was going to say, that's the thing, isn't it? They're going to be looking at you being like, well, maybe we signed the wrong guy. This guy's beaten Leon twice, and we got Leon here.
You never know.
Brilliant. Well, no, talk to me a bit more about BWR, because, again, it does seem like somewhere you've got a really good history with. Like, it seems like, and I feel like a lot of wrestlers that we have on who wrestle there say this, but, like, it feels like a really great place to wrestle, like, in terms of the vibe, in terms of the atmosphere, in terms of... the faith and the trust that the promoters put in you guys on the card to go out and deliver. It seems like it's a really, like, nice place to be able to do that quite freely.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've got a lot of control in how I portray myself. Because there's never a case of, we want you to do this or that. It's you're put in this position, just do what you feel is the right thing to do. I get put in fun matches there against guys I may necessarily haven't wrestled or might not get a chance to wrestle anywhere else. Again, a combo of the crowd is they're really reactive to stuff, so it makes you feel it more. Plus, a lot of my friends are there. A lot of people that I'm friends with in wrestling wrestle there, so it's just a nice time to see everybody. And then obviously performing is actually a bonus of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say, as we're recording, we're a couple of weeks away from the Rumble, which, again, has been making waves on social media purely for how good the poster they put out for it was.
Yeah.
Like, that was insanely
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, it's very clear that, like, again, Scotty is the main guy at BWR at the minute as well. He's someone that I think, you know, Myles Kayman wants to probably take down a couple of pegs as well.
For sure. I'd definitely rest for that belt.
Champ v champ.
Oh, 100%. Winner takes all.
I'm not sure Scotty's a cruiserweight, though.
You never know. I think Scotty's a cruiser. I'd say so. I'm taller than him. Yeah, I'm taller than him.
That's something that I think we'd love to see as well. Maybe he would be a cruiserweight then. Maybe he could be a cruiserweight. In that case, well, all the gold at BWR on the line, I think would be a great match.
I think so too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. You're gonna be at the show? Are you gonna be in the Rumble?
I'm gonna be at the show. I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'm sure I'll be in the Rumble because I won it last year, so the chance to win it 2 years in a row.
I was gonna say they can't deny you that.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a cool moment to win it twice in a row if I did win it.
Do you find it unfair? Like, again, I think I tweeted this when you were announced for the NCL Cup, and I'm pretty sure it's the same this time around. I might have even tweeted it when you were announced for the last year's BWR Rumble. Like, do you think it's unfair for everyone else, for them to, like, for BWR for North to put you in these occasions where you're so obviously going to win? Like, it doesn't seem fair to everyone else.
I'd say it's a fair statement to make.
Yeah.
Because I'll just do anything it takes.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, but like that's the thing. Is it like, do you go into it being like, oh, it's easy, like this is going to be because you're obviously going to win? Like,
not necessarily that it's easy, but that the outcome will remain the same regardless of the situation.
And I think that's what I like about Myles Kayman is that you're very adaptable. You know how to adapt to those situations. If something goes a little wrong, there's no panic there. There's just, how am I going to turn this back in my favour?
Absolutely, yeah.
I was going to say, is that something that, like, again, like in reality, in real life, like, is that something that you've always been quite good at, or is that something you've sort of learned over the years?
I think it's definitely learning over the years, just from experiences and dealing with stuff. I think that's definitely helped over time. It's just developed where it's like, it is what it is. You just got to get on with it and find a way around it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, we've talked a lot about, like, again, as the friends you've made in wrestling. I'm going to lose you some friends now because we've got a little feature on the show called Dishing the Dirt. And so I'm going to pose you some questions and I want you to let me know which members of, let's say, like, your regular haunts, BWR, North, etc., which members of the locker room best apply to each question.
Okay. Am I allowed to plead the fifth on some occasions?
You might be.
Right, I remain silent,
You might be allowed to. You might. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. You are also allowed to say yourself if it is yourself for certain things as well.
Cool.
So the first one is who's always running late?
Darius.
Yeah, I think we've had a few others say Darius.
Darius or Leon.
Really?
Unless he's in my car.
Yeah.
And then we're bang on time. But Darius, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Darius, you got it. I think other people have said Darius as well. So
I've experienced that firsthand where I've been in the car with him. And I've also experienced it watching when I'm in the change rooms, the panic of him not being there sometimes.
What do you mean? So if you're in the car with him, you've just been sat waiting for him, being like, come on, hurry the fuck up.
We used to do the Butlins run together, me and Darius, and just get in there on time. Like, Darius, sometimes we were maybe 10, 15 minutes late. Nothing crazy, but I'd be like, Darius, we're going to go. So, sometimes it happens with him.
What is Darius like in a carpool setting? I imagine it's quite fun.
Oh, he's the best. He's the best. He's just Darius.
Do you let him pick the music? Or does he provide the music?
I mean, it's been so long since I've travelled with Darius in an actual car. I don't know what he's like now, but it was always a good laugh in the car with Darius.
Love it. The next one is... where is it? It's gone off. There we go. Okay, the next one is who has the worst music taste? Again, this might be something you picked up from carpools.
Oh, this is tough. I don't know, because a lot of my mates, we like the same music. I'm very much into like metalcore.
Nice.
It's like that.
That's something I can get behind. I like that.
Yeah.
Who are you into? Who do you go for?
At the moment, my favourite band's Dayseeker.
Nice. Yeah.
And they're just about to release an acoustic album, and I can't wait.
That's going to be, I didn't know that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, that's getting released like this week, I think.
Oh, I have to listen to that. I was going to say, if it's anything like the people I hang out with, people will say that I have the worst music taste. So it might be you. That's the answer.
It might be. If I was in a normal car with normal people that don't listen to metalcore, it'd be me. But I generally don't think I can pick one because I usually drive. So I usually just whack on a playlist.
Oh, okay. You're always picking.
Let's go me potentially.
Yeah. Sure, that's fine. Yeah. You get to pick the music if it's your car.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the joy of it. Yeah. And then they can't say anything as well. Like, you're out there stealing the show. They need to lift back. They got to be nice to you.
Exactly.
Anyway.
I'll just leave them.
Yeah. The next one is who's the comedian of the locker room? Who can you always go to make you laugh?
Derice.
He's a funny guy, Derice.
Yeah, I'd say Derice fits in that.
Yeah.
But that also stems from the previous question. They're tying together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, again, Derice, I'd probably say.
No, it's fine. It's a solid. Again, I'm pretty sure people have said that before. The next one is again. It could be a hat trick for Derice here early on, because it's not either for their match or getting ready to leave. Who takes the longest to get ready?
As in, to get ready just before the match is in the running late, they're like putting on the gear.
As in they just take ages getting ready for their match. They don't necessarily need to be late for the match, but they start early and it takes them ages to get ready. Or like after the match where you just sort of sat waiting for them so you can go.
I'm trying to think north-wise in terms of leaving, because it always takes ages to leave north.
Why is that?
Because people start... So whenever you do the rounds when you leave, like, obviously conversations come up and people start talking and they get distracted, they forget they're leaving and they start talking. I'm trying to think of scenarios like that. Derice is definitely one of them. Shock.
Getting a theme here for sure. Well. Yeah.
Leon's I'd say Leon's fairly bad for that.
Yeah. Again,
just get some conversations. Yeah, I'd say those two.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. And they are the boisterous boys, aren't they? They're always causing trouble. The next one I put in specifically for mainly it's a mainly like London thing. But again, I think you might be on shows with this person. I put it in for one specific person basically, and it's all because you can know who's not wrestled with this person based on if they don't answer it. Because it's who brings the best food to the locker room.
As in to share or for themselves?
It can be either, like someone who brings their pre-show meal and you're like, damn, that looks good. Or like someone who just brings in snacks.
Can I say who brings in awful food?
Oh, go on.
Robbie X usually brings in pretty grim food.
Really?
Just because it's so clean and healthy.
Oh, okay.
A bit bland. I don't think there's any... I mean, a lot of people don't really meal prep or anything. Derice always rinsed me back in the day for the food I used to bring in.
What did you bring?
I didn't season my food back in the day. I just couldn't be bothered. And it was always just plain chicken and rice. Now I season, but back in the day, he used to rinse me all the time for that.
Oh, mad. The thing is like, so we had Mark Haskins on the show a little while ago. And like, he like shows midway through. He's like midway through this bowl of like chicken and rice, and it looks like the most bland, dry thing you've ever seen in your life.
That's probably the stuff I used to bring.
I was like, fucking hell. I mean, I know meal prep, but you can at least add a bit of seasoning. Literally.
And now I do, so that's not great. I'd probably say me back in the day, but I don't really know now.
Well, that's the thing is, so like the reason I put the question in is because the answer everyone, especially down here, gives is Nina Samuels.
Oh, okay. Well, what does she bring?
Oh, so Nina is notorious. If you're ever on a show with Nina Samuels, you've got to ask about this. Nina is notorious for being the best baker in British wrestling.
Okay.
So she like makes brownies and cookies and stuff and just brings them to the locker room.
I've seen that in the locker rooms I've been in with her.
And that's the thing. Well, in that case, you got to have a word. Maybe she doesn't bring them up north. Maybe they don't travel well.
Potentially.
But that's the thing. So she started selling them at shows as well. And like I got to say, it's pretty phenomenal baking. It's it was pretty impressive. I can see why people rave about her now. It's not just the fact that she's holding every single belt in like every single women's division in the country, but she's also pretty good at baking as well. So that's why I put that in initially, and it's sort of evolved from there. But a few people have got questionable food taste, so I appreciate you putting Robbie into that.
Yeah.
Robbie, you've been called out. The next one is okay. So this is the one that I say is like the one that could potentially get you in like the most trouble with the locker room. We're not talking in the ring. We're talking out the ring. Who has the worst dress sense? Does anyone just show up to a show wearing something and you're like, what the fuck are you wearing?
Kid Like Us 2 has once worn sliders with no socks. at a show. Ethan Allen's just bought a pair of Crocs and he wore no socks with them. That wasn't at a show, but that was on his Instagram, so that might be considered.
No, that still counts. The Crocs are always a bad call. Alexis Falcon, I blame for bringing the Crocs into pro wrestling.
I think Crocs are okay if you put socks with them, but he had bare feet, and it's just unacceptable. Yeah, I'd say for that story about Lycos too, you'd probably put him up there.
Yeah, I was going to say
Usually it's good. Usually it's good, but I think that is unforgivable.
I think those two, both feetwear as well, both footwear choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, very poor.
It's the whole fit.
Brilliant. The next one's on the nicer end of it, actually. So you've forgotten your gear for a show, and you've got to borrow someone's gear, but it's one size fits all. You can pick anyone in the locker room. Whose gear do you look at, and you're like, I could pull that off?
I'm gonna have to think of someone with trunks.
You can go different. If you want to try something different, it doesn't have to just be the trunks.
I've never worn tights. I've worn tights once when I was really young, but I haven't worn tights in about 6 years.
What about a Will Cruise? You go like the one piece.
Well, I've tried his one piece on before.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, he let me try it on.
Okay, wait, I got another story. How did what?
It was just in the locker. I was like, we were just joking about it. He dared me to try it, so I put it on.
How did it look?
Well, I don't think I'm a singlet. I don't think I can get away. I can't pull off a singlet, regardless. Like, I can only pull off trunks. Will can pull off a singlet really nicely. Certain wrestlers are a singlet wearers. I am not one of them. I would look ridiculous in a singlet. Like, imagine like Kurt Angle in tights.
I mean, to be fair.
You can't imagine Kurt Angle in tights.
Not in a good way. I sort of can imagine it, but not in a way that anyone wants to see.
Yeah, so like certain wrestlers suit certain stuff, and I do not suit a singlet. I would want to be.
What about the two-piece? Would you suit like a Rio or something? Like the purple,
definitely not.
Little crop top, like you show off the abs?
At the moment, I do not have abs. So that would not work nicely. Maybe summertime, but not true. Maybe Robbie X with similar size.
Yeah.
I'd say that'd work.
I was going to say as well, I think as part of it, you're entitled to the jacket and stuff as well. So you get the jacket to go with it.
Exactly.
And that's pretty good. That's a pretty good shout. Yeah, I like it. It's a bit more colour than I'm used to seeing at Myles Kayman, though. You know what I mean? That jacket. It's very, like, sparkly, very silver light.
Yeah.
It would be an interesting new look.
100%.
Nice. The next one I always say is a little, like, counterproductive to ask a wrestler in locker room. But who's the most competitive?
In terms of what? In terms of wrestling or just in general?
In terms of it can be wrestling or like outside the ring, if you're like playing games or whatever, like video games or whatever, like, you know, just hanging out, like it can be either.
Ethan Allen is a really sore loser. If that fits that question, yeah, I remember beating him on FIFA a few times. You want to? I'd say in terms of wrestling, probably Leon.
Yeah.
But in a healthy way, because he's just got that mindset.
Yeah.
Of obviously he just wants to be the best. So I say Ethan outside of wrestling, Leon inside.
I love that. Yeah,
but not in a very good way.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's more interesting to know who the FIFA rage quitters are, to be honest.
Yeah, and Ethan's one of them.
Yeah. Oh, Ethan, come on. He's part of Northwest Strong. That's not strong behaviour. Next one is again another hypothetical. Everyone in the locker room is hosting a party on the same night. They've all invited you. You can, of course, though, only go to one party. Whose do you go to? Who's going to throw the party? That's Derice.
I've been out with Derice from Huddersfield a few times, and this was years ago, but yeah, good night, so probably Derice.
Yeah, Derice doesn't surprise me as well, as there's like a party host. I think that'd be... I think it's a pretty solid choice.
Yeah.
Nice. And the final one's my favourite on the list. It's who would you pick to be your partner in the zombie apocalypse? I always say as well, you got to think about what you want the person for. Do you know what I mean? Do you want a partner, or do you want someone you can like throw to the wolves?
That's a tough one.
It's tricky, isn't it? It all goes down to what you want that person to do.
Maybe Tom Thelwell.
Yeah.
Because he would just do anything. He's that kind of person. So yeah, definitely him.
He's a bit of a nutter, isn't he? He's like, and as in like he would have no fear going into it.
Yeah.
Just like terrified. that brings an end to that feature. We've got one more closing feature here on the show, but before that, I wanted to talk to you about something that we sort of picked up on earlier, but with a different promotion, because we talked about your Progress debut. Again, Progress, huge company, huge promotion, not just in British wrestling, I think like in just the world of indie wrestling. In terms of, again, like we talked about, like the validation and stuff like that, when you get that call, when say we want you to be on Progress, what is that moment like?
It was really cool because it feels like it's been again like one of those long journeys. Like it's been something I've aspired to wrestle on for a while now, and whether it didn't happen a year ago, again going back to the previous statements of it's fine it didn't happen a year ago because I may not have been as ready. So I think the opportunity was there at the right time. Where I was like, okay, I can perform at that level, and I feel comfortable doing so. So it was a really cool feeling because it was like finally I get to showcase my talent in a capacity like that.
Yeah. Who was it that got in touch with you? Was it James or was it Lee?
It was, yeah.
It was James. Nice. Yeah. What do you know? What he like? If you don't mind saying, like, did he say anything? Was he like? Was it just we want you to be on the show? Or was there anything more than that?
No, just in terms of before or after.
Like either like in terms of like what like your feedback that you got from them.
It was very positive. Yeah, I got a very positive response from a lot of people from that performance, which I was very happy with.
I was going to say because they threw you in the deep end, didn't they?
Yeah.
Going against Jacobs, that's a hard hitting first Progress match.
Yeah, absolutely. It was again one of the best. So I felt like I delivered, and yeah, the feedback was very positive afterwards. A very good response.
No, I love that. I always think that's super like weird in terms of again, it's something you'd very rarely get in any other sort of form of sport or anything where like. The huge positive is they've called you and like, we want you to get the shit beaten out of you by Luke Jacobs. You know what I mean? Like that's like.
I held my own.
You did, undoubtedly, mate. But like that's the thing is like it's a hard hitting first match to be in as well. You know you're in a Progress ring when you got Jacob standing across from you. Like
100%.
What was that whole like atmosphere like as well? Because again, like. It's a very different setup that they have there for the love of wrestling, isn't it? Like
it's just obviously like a big warehouse.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the reactions before and after, I feel very confident holding my own, and if I don't get a response, I'll just keep doing my thing. I was something they were very big on, and I did, and they were happy that I did that. I just kept doing my thing, and then at the end, I got claps and cheers and stuff. So like, I'd proven myself over that 20 minutes of how long the match was. And then at the end, I got a response. So that was cool.
That's got to be
no response to a response.
Yeah, that's got to be almost like a more rewarding feeling, right? Where you can win the crowd over. Where it starts off, you're like, oh shit, okay, and then you win them over by the end. That's got to be like almost a more rewarding feeling than coming out and having them like do what you want straight away.
Yeah.
And it shows again that you can do that, right? It shows again you've got that ability, which again must be a nice confidence boost.
Yeah, without a doubt, it was a cool feeling to have.
Nice, love it. I love it. Well, we do have a closing feature here on the podcast, and this is we've got to know about your locker room mates. Now we're going to let to know about you, but this is not about Myles Kayman in the ring. This is about you outside the ring, because this is called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler, and it's essentially just what makes you you kind of thing. So, like the last one, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and you let me know what comes to mind. So the first one is, what is your favourite post pinfall pig out?
As in after the show, where to go?
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, like, because we always get people saying, like, McDonald's, because that's the only thing that's open. But, like, I'm letting everything's open here. Everything's on the table.
Well, after an NGW show, the last month we went to a Wendy's.
Nice.
I didn't think was in the UK, but there's like 3 in Hull for some reason. So we went to Wendy's, and that was really good. Same price as Mackey's, it was amazing. So I would say that's up there.
Yeah.
Not accessible, but it was probably one of my favourite post-show food to have.
Nice, I like it. Yeah, Wendy's is something that we got one here in London as well. We got a couple here in London, but I've not tried it yet. But
it's really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to give it a go at some point. The next one is like the classic. What would your like death row last meal be?
Probably like a big ribeye steak or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm a big ribeye fan.
Yeah. Sauce, like peppercorn sauce or something?
Probably peppercorn, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of seasoning and probably just normal chips.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a big ribeye fan.
Solid choice. Like, so these are the 2 key questions. And again, this has become almost its own running feature on the podcast. But how do you have your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
Okay. Well, this has become a thing now because we've had far too many people come on and say they have their steaks well done, and it sickens me. It's outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
The two that spring to mind initially straight away are Joe Lando and Anita Vaughan. Both have their steaks well done, and I was like, come on, guys, I thought you were cool. Like, what's happening? Unbelievable. What about the fries? Do you go like thick or do you like fries?
I'll just go fries.
No, I'll see. That's where we differ. I like the thick ones with steak.
Yeah.
I go thick with steak.
Yeah, fries always.
Nice. I like it. The next one is we've talked about music as well before, but it's the song that gets you the most hyped.
There's probably Metro Boomin did an out. It was for they made it into like a Homelander edit, but it's superhero.
All right.
For Metro Boomin, it's like a really like powerful rap thing. That kind of gets me hyped.
Okay, that's cool.
That gets me hyped. That's kind of my go-to.
Nice. The next one is the movie that I'd show the locker room.
Interstellar.
Nice. That's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get there very early to show the locker room, that one.
Yeah, it's a long one.
That is a long one. It's a good film though.
Very good
nice.
film.
Yeah, good choice. Is that your general sort of like movie choice? Do you go like the sort of like
I love the dramatic stuff.
Yeah,
the stuff that makes you feel something a little bit.
Edge of your seat sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it. The next one's a bit of a throwback because it's your first job.
I worked at Costa Coffee at 16.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
How
got
did you
in my
find
village, so I just worked there.
How'd you find it?
I only did a Sunday shift. I hated it because I was 16.
But it's a bit of money coming in, isn't it? That's the thing, you're just doing it for the money.
About £4 an hour coming in, it was great.
What are your coffee making skills like?
Oh, they were really good. I made a good cappuccino.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The skills that you've carried to this day?
No. I've been 8 years, so.
Fair enough. The next one gets a little deep because it's your greatest fear.
Failing.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's understandable. I get that. But in terms of like what, like just in wrestling or in everything else as well?
Just in wrestling, because that's like my main thing. That's the main thing I want to do. So definitely that.
Sure. Do you have like in terms of do you have like set goals that you're like, I want to achieve this, and like not reaching them would be failing, or like is it sort of quite like fluid where like it'll depend in terms of,
I'd say fluid. Like obviously I want to make it my living. That is a cool goal to have, but in terms of how far I want to reach, it's just as far as I'm able to do.
Nice. I like it. The next one picks things back up again because it's your favourite animal.
My dog.
What kind of dog do you have?
I got a border collie.
Nice, adorable.
He's adorable. He's mental, but he's adorable.
I think the best pets are, right?
Sometimes
you need a pet. You need a pet with a little crazy.
Yeah, it depends what mood you're in, to be honest.
How old is he?
Just gone 3.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely at that sort of age as well.
He's a bit mental, Adam.
Maybe calm down a little as he gets a bit older. Love it. The next one's the only wrestling one on the list because it's your favourite match stipulation.
I like the Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun. Or like 2 out of 3 falls, something like that.
Nice.
Something that goes long.
Yeah. I was going to say 2 out of 3 falls. I love an Iron Man. Iron Man's great. 2 out of 3 falls. We've had a few people say as well. And it's always really difficult for me because I do like 2 out of 3 falls when it's done well. But I feel like I'm really picky with 2 out of 3 falls because I feel like you've got to sell the story because you know that at most points it's going to go to 1-1.
Yeah.
So it's all about the story of how you get to 1-1.
Yeah.
So that like makes it interesting because otherwise, in your head you're just like, it's still only 1 4 wins, right? It's still the final 4 wins. So how do you get to that point and keep people engaged?
Yeah, 100%.
So I get that. That's cool. A nice choice. Only a couple more. The next one's your favourite place in the world.
Florida.
Nice.
Orlando, Florida.
Nice. You've been a lot.
Been twice.
Nice. Disney or?
Universal.
Nice. Yeah, better choice to be fair.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it. And the next one, the final one is, let's say not Florida then, because let's say somewhere you haven't been, because it's your dream holiday destination.
Hawaii.
Nice. I'm sensing you like the sun. I'm getting that vibe.
Yeah.
Are you like a relaxer on holiday, or you like to go out and do stuff?
Bit of both. I'm more relaxing though.
Nice. Yeah, solid. I like it. Well, that brings us nicely to near the end of the podcast. I've only got one question left, and this question hasn't been left by me because we have a closing segment, a closing sort of tradition here on the show where our last guest leaves a question for our next guest.
Okay.
So you've been left a question. I'm not allowed to tell you who left it purely because I decided that would add no context and that seems funnier. So the question you've been left... Okay. You say you like metalcore. Do you like metal in general? Are you a metal fan generally?
If it's too screamy, no.
Okay, but like, what if I said like sort of like old school metal, like your Megadeths, your Metallicas, and stuff like that?
I like Metallica. I've never listened to Megadeth.
Good. Well, that's all right then, because this is only a question that only a very subset of people are going to be able to get. So, the question you've been left is, in a hypothetical, where. Okay, so I feel like I need more context for this one, actually. So there's this article, like there's this report that Hulk Hogan, this interview that Hulk Hogan did once, where he claimed that he was invited to join Metallica, right? Okay. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I've heard a few things like that.
So the question you've been left is, in a hypothetical world where Hulk Hogan doesn't lie all the time and was invited to join Metallica, who would be the top WWF star while he was out touring with them?
What time period?
This is like, we're talking, if I'm correct, we're talking early 90s, like 91, between 90 and 93, I'm fairly sure.
Was Bret Hart around then?
He was a little later. He was like 95 when he sort of burst in. But not in terms of, we're not talking in terms of like the exact answer, like logically. Who would you have as the top star?
Oh.
If Hogan's not around, who's the top star for WWF in the early 90s?
Macho Man.
It's a lovely answer. So underrated. I feel like Macho Man was like... I'm trying to compare it to someone now. I'm trying to think of someone who was so good, and everyone knew he was so good, and he was a top champ, but was still underrated. Like, I don't know who you'd compare him to now, but like... Yeah, Macho Man was a mad one, because he was very clearly like one of the most talented guys ever.
100%.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I like it. It's just a very weird question.
I already know what you're going to ask me about what my question is, so I'm going to do a follow-up from that.
Well, I was going to say, we'll get your question once we finish recording, but a follow-up I'm intrigued about, so we'll get that at the very end. But that brings the podcast nicely to an end. Myles Kayman, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Absolutely, it's been a great fun, thank you.
Good, I'm glad. That means a lot. We always end each podcast by giving our guest the final word. So if anyone's watching this and wants to come out and check out Myles Kayman at North or at BWR or at Progress if they call you back, or at Tidal or anywhere else in the country, anywhere else in the world, if anyone sees Myles Kayman on a poster, comes to check him out, why is Myles Kayman going to steal the show?
Because I make you feel emotion regardless of what it is, whether it's good or bad. There's going to be some sort of feeling created.